From starring in British soap operas to becoming the first black woman to play Cleopatra on stage, she's a trailblazer in British theatre. My guest is Dona Croll, a Jamaican-born actress whose versatility has impacted TV, film, and theatre. I'm Archibald Gordon. This is Profile. Dona Croll, welcome to Profile.
Thank you. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you as well, especially given this really very distinguished career that you have. And I want to share some of the highlights with our viewers who might not be as familiar with it. But first of all, have to claim you, Jamaican-born British actress from Patty Hill, Hanover. We're going to talk about that. Moved to the UK as a child, four years old. Over 40 years in the industry.
Yes.
So we're talking about television, film, radio, and theatre. Right. Television roles, notable for your roles in many, many series, but particularly popular British TV series such as Family Affairs, a soap opera on Channel 5, EastEnders, one of the UK's most watched soap operas in the on the BBC. Doctors, that's just some of it, some of it. Stage highlights make history as the first black woman to portray Cleopatra in the United Kingdom.
That's right.
Also recognized for your acclaimed theatre productions, including Arthur Miller's All My Sons and El Miner's Kitchen, and also known for your advocacy, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So when you listen to all of this and you reflect on your journey, how do you feel?
It's a bit, a journey is putting one foot in front of the other. And as far as I'm concerned, that's all I did. I'm still on the journey. I don't feel that it's something I've achieved. I feel it's a trud. It's a treading. That's how I feel. That's how I think of it.
And that treading kind of started, I would say, in Jamaica. But you don't remember much of your life in Jamaica because you were 4 when you left. I was 4 when I left. My parents migrated to the UK. There's a book called Between These Hills, which is about the devastation wrought on the Western Jamaica by people emigrating. All these little people with their farming. There was a whole economy going. Everyone went abroad to try and live a better life. And in some cases, it was a better life, and in some cases, it wasn't. In this case, it was your mother, your father, yourself, and your sister.
That's right.
One sister at the point. They had additional children when you went to the UK.
Yeah.
But when you went to the UK, how were they received?
You'd have to speak to them about it. From my remembrance, black people in the UK were not well received. Was that something that you also saw as a young child? Well, the thing is, as a young child, you don't know. You don't have anything to compare it to. But I can remember my mother being very upset because she's very pale-skinned, and she didn't realize she was black till she got to England. A bit like, you know Andrea Levy, who wrote The Long Song, very similar story. But the population generally had had 300 or 400 years of understanding that black people were inferior, and then we arrived. And they were determined to make us know that they thought we were inferior. So there's a whole way of thinking about oneself as a black person, which is different to thinking of oneself as a person. In Jamaica, one is a person. In England, one is a black person. But at the same time, your parents, your mother in particular, was determined to ensure that you did not think of yourself as a black person. Yeah, how was she doing that? She determined for me to think of myself as a special person, as a clever person, as a confident person. So when the teacher said to me at school, "Oh my God, aren't you clever?" She didn't say, "Aren't you clever for a black child?" but that's what she meant. Those kind of things, you just deal with them on a day-to-day basis. As a child, you just deal with it. You know, people calling you names or kids wanting to fight you, you just deal with it. No, your parents, though, a little bit of the background of them, they were pastors. Well, my father was a pastor. My mother is a reverend. A reverend, sorry. She can hatch, match, and dispatch. And my mother is still alive. She's 96. I give God thanks for her. and for what she's done for me and my siblings. She's brought us up and given us a decent education.
What was that upbringing like in terms of what they were like?
Very strict. So in the house there was the Bible as history, the Encyclopedia Britannica, nothing else. No other books. But there's a library at the bottom of my road. So I was in the library all the time, reading all sorts of things. I think I'd read most of Dickens by the time I was 14. The library's there, you know, it's free. So that's what I did.
So now, in terms of moving on to theatre and having an interest in being on stage, at what point did you have what I would call the acting bug, that, you know, get a sense that this is something I wanted to do?
When I was 15, I was cast as Bottom in The Midsummer Night's Dream, which is Shakespeare's best-loved comedy. And all my teachers said, oh, you must try and be an actor. And we did drama classes, we did dance, and I was very good at it. I could express myself and all the rest of it. And I was doing A-level English, French, German, Italian, and the teacher said, you should try and be an actor. And I thought, what's an actor? Because I didn't see myself on television. Nowhere did I see black people in any sort of positions. Barbara Blake Hannah read the news.
Jamaican.
And everybody said, oh, there's a black woman on television. And there she was. Thank you, Barbara Blake Hannah. But she gave us a little fillip. So I said, OK. So after 5 years, I thought, I'll give myself 5 years. I went to drama school in Birmingham.
What was your parents' reaction?
Oh, they were furious. They were convinced I would be on television taking my clothes off, which of course did happen. But they really thought it was the most sinful thing, was a den of iniquity and all the things that, you know, people think. And after 5 years, I was working, so I thought, well, I'll give it another 5 years. And then I was still working. I gave it another 5 years. I didn't have any particular idea of a career. I don't think anybody did in those days. Yes. But there was one show I did, and there's an actress who copied something of mine on stage. And I said to my agent, that's it. I'm only going to do television and film and theatre in the West End. So said, so done. It happened.
You've summarized it in terms of saying, you know, first 5 years, but that journey to, you know, just navigating the first 5 years, going to the auditions, getting the gigs, that I imagine was a lot of work. But I have to take our first break on Profile. Stay with us as we continue to explore Dona Croll's inspiring journey right after these messages.